We just got through building a giant Jenga set, and when I got all done, I realized I had 54 blocks that I somehow had to move around, and I just, not big enough arms to hang on to all those pieces. Plus, I made a few extras just in case, so I had 60 blocks and no way to carry them. And I talked about it in the end of my video. You ought to watch that video. It's a fun video. But anyway, when I finished that video, I decided I needed to have something to carry all of my blocks. I want you to look at this pile right here. These are all of the 60 Jenga blocks that go to the game and my extras. I played around a little bit with them and tried to find a way to stack them that was the most compact. And this is what I came up with. Let me pull some of these down so you can see all of those blocks there. And I had the different colors. I don't have them stacked in order or anything like that. But these are the blocks, and this is the way I'm going to put it together. And I decided what I needed to build was like a crate with handles on both sides, a wooden crate. It would be strong enough to hold them all and would be very durable for long time use, and I could slide it away somewhere and not have to worry about a cardboard box breaking. So that's what I came up with. And I went to my big box store and I just purchased some 1x pine. I bought a 1x10 and the 1x6, and we're going to cut this 1x pine and put it together, and I'll show you how this crate goes together and holds all of these blocks in this configuration and is easy now to haul my game out to the backyard. Let's get going. To start off, let's review the size of the block. The block is 2 7/8 by 1 1/4 by 8 1/2. 8 3/4, excuse me, 8 3/4. Can't even read my own tape measure. Anyway, that's the size of the block. And like I say, we have 60 of them. Putting them together in this configuration and taking the measurements, I determined that my box needs to be 11 3/8 wide, and my box needs to be 20 long, the interior of my box. And it's the height of a 1x10 big box pine board. So let's go ahead. First thing let's do is let's make the ends. 11 3/8 by 9. That'll be the size of our end. And we're going to cut a little handle in both sides so that we can pick it up. With our handle holes drilled, we'll sand and clean those up when we get ready to put it together. The next thing we've got to do is we've got to cut all of our 1x6 into 21 1/2 inches length, because we want 20 inches on the interior of our box, and we've got a 3/4 inch on both ends. So 20 inches plus 3/4 plus 3/4, 21 1/2, and that's still going to be the length of all of our side pieces. So let's head over to the saw, cut everything 21 1/2 inches long. With all of our side pieces cut to length, we went back to our table saw and we put a rabbet joint on the ends on both ends, and this is going to allow us to have a place to put our end pieces in and keep all of them square. So that's what that is for. We're now going to put all of this through the router table and round off both ends and both sides of all of our pieces before we actually cut them to width. And once we have them cut to width, we'll come back and route the other side. This just gives us a better piece to hold on to while we make our initial routes. Okay, all of our pieces will be just like this. Now most of our pieces are only going to, this is a 5-inch wide piece. Most of our pieces are going to be 2.5-inch wide to give us the crate look as we go through this. And so we'll come back and we'll split this in half. We'll put this long route on the other side once we cut it to width. But this is where we're going to start. I'll go ahead and get the rest of those done, and when we'll come back and take a look at it going together. We have all of our pieces now cut to size, routed and sanded, and ready for assembly. We're going to put the bottom together first. Now this is the outside, so this is the inside, and this is the inside. And these are the 4 bottom pieces. And let's go ahead and start. I guess I got to turn it around like this. What we're going to do, make sure we get the sawdust off of it. Okay. We're going to glue, give it a couple of nails and 1 screw for each of our slats. So just a little bit of glue. No squeeze out. We don't want any squeeze out here. Too much work to try to clean it up. Okay, now you see how our little rabbet joint is telling us right where to put our wood? See how that helps us line our pieces up? That just makes assembly work much easier because the rabbet tells us what to do. Okay, then we're going to give it a pilot hole and an 1.25 inch screw. And we'll come back and sand out that little piece there. Okay, now let's go ahead and put another piece on this side. We'll start from the outside and work in so that our spacing is easier to determine. I've done my measurements and I know about what my spacing is going to be, but it's easier to see the spacing sometimes when you have pieces in place. Okay. All right, there's those 2 pieces. Now let's turn it around here and do the same thing to this side like this, so we can begin to put the bottom of our crate together. Okay, whoop. All right, there we go. There's our little rabbet holding us in the right place, our little rabbet joint. 2 nails there, making sure everything's flush and tight. These nails that I'm using are 18 gauge 1.25 brads. And the screw that I'm using is an 1.25 grabber screw. Okay, all right, there are the outside pieces. Now these 2 pieces are going to be equally spaced inside like that. And so we can just, and this is not an exact measurement situation. This is a situation that you kind of look at it and it goes, well, that looks even and that looks right and that's good enough. So we're going to do it just like that. You can see how that makes a nice bottom to our crate. And I'm going to give a little mark right there and a little mark right there on both sides so that I remember where I said was good enough. Okay, there we are with the bottom of our crate all done. Nice and sanded. Okay, now for the side. Each side piece is going to be 3 pieces. I'm just going to lay these up here. Now, our bottom slats were 2.5 inches apiece and spaced about 1/2 inch apart. Our side slats, the bottom one is 3 3/8, and then 2 more 2.5s. It'll be flush with the top. And I wanted the space in between to be less. I wanted it to be more of a solid side. And so I made it like that, and that's what we're going to do. And I'm going to go ahead and nail and put screws on that, glue, nail, and screws, just like I did the bottom. And then I'll come back in a minute when I have the sides all done. But that's the way the side is going to look. We have our crate all put together and sanded out, but we have one more little thing to do. As you look over here at the stack, you have a corner here that I didn't have anything to fill in. I mean, that's just the way our pieces stacked. And so I compensated by that by putting these little blocks in the corner like this, and that will help space our stack when we have it in there. These blocks are just glued in. Let's put one in and I'll show you how it goes. They're just glued in and nailed in with 1.5 inch nails. Our little blocks here are 1 1/4 by 1 1/4, actually about 1/8 by 1 1/8. And we just nail it in like that. And what I did is I cut a little block that was about the same thickness as one of our Jenga blocks. And I just put a little bit of a round over on it to kind of make it nice. Okay. And this just adds a little spacing. Let me turn this around here and you can see a little better how I'm nailing it in. There. When I was working on the inside of it, you couldn't see it all that well. Okay, we are completely done with our crate and ready to stack our Jenga blocks in there. And we're going to go ahead and do that, but I want to show you one thing that you might be willing to use this box for. If you're out in the yard and you're wanting to do a Jenga game, but you don't want to be right down on the ground, you could take this and use it as the platform for your Jenga game, like that, as you stack up your blocks. And you could start your blocks right there and build off of that and use this for the foundation of your game, and it would bring it up off the ground so it would work a little better for you. Just a thought. Not necessary, but just a thought. Okay, let's go ahead. I'm going to go ahead and put all of the blocks in here and make sure they fit. Give me just a minute and I'll have that done. Let's see how it looks when it's all filled up. Well, there it is, all filled up. 60 blocks all at once. So better than picking them up one at a time. This is going to be a great way to store this game and bring it out when we have our backyard family outings, friends over, or anytime you want to just have fun. But anyway, this has been a great deal. We want you to go back and watch the video on how we put this Jenga game together, how it came together. Because this is part of all of it, is not only the box, but the game you play. I hope you enjoyed it. I did, and it's always fun to build something like this when you know it all comes together and it looks really good. Things like that are fun to do here on Woodworking with Wes.